All right. Welcome. Like to call this meeting into order, and just first order of business, I'd like to make a motion that we approve our minutes from our last meeting. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Welcome. I hope everyone's not getting rained out from today's weather. So our first order of business, just a few updates. Old growth forest network designation. Do you want to share some about that?
Sure.
What's going on?
So I don't know if everybody knows, Bob Leverett had some surgery, so he wasn't sure he would be available for May 6th. So Sarah from the Old Growth Forest, I talked to Sarah, we emailed back and forth to Bob. He very much would like to be there. So she was going to check with him probably mid-March and see how he was doing. And if he feels like he'll be ready for May 6th, we'll keep that date. But if we need to postpone it, a few weeks or a month, I think we would like to do that so that he could be there. I think he said he's been going out there for 38 years. So he's really invested in Ice Glen, and I can't think of anyone better than him to, talk about the Glen or lead a hike through there. So the plan was to wait till mid-March and see how he was doing. I did have some other questions, though, in terms of the form that we need to fill out for the designation. One of the questions is, who's the owner and a contact number? I don't know if that would be the town, if that would be.
I think Shelby, you sent out the deed a while back.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the town owns it. So it's just it's really just a question of who should serve as the contact. And I think that for the sake of this, I don't know that it has to go through Michael. I mean, it could be our, the commission.
You want to be the contact?
Sure. I'll double check with Michael. He might have something to say about that, but.
And I had some information on preservation history, but I've been emailing Joshua at the library, and I'm going to meet with him this week. He may have more information, so we could fill this out even further. Sarah had questions about how big we would like this to be. How much advertising? Do we want it relatively small with a few people? Do we want to do a lot of that? And I think they would do most of the advertising. But what I'm not sure about what the town is envisioning, what we're envisioning. Parking is an issue, certainly.
So I think this is just a question for, I think we can suggest that I don't see why not just involving local media and them having a press release and make this recommendation to the select board.
Making what recommendation
It's just local media and it's open to the public. And I think one thing we'll probably have to do is maybe put up some signs that hopefully they can generate for us.
And what about parking?
Well, I'm assuming it also does it if we do it here. I think public parking, I think it's on a weekday, correct?
It's on a weekday, it's on a Friday.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't want a lot of people parking on the street where the entrance is. I think neighbors, if I'm correct, neighbors don't really like that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are a couple of things. I think the dedication should be at Ice Glen, where we're going to have some kind of a sign.
Right.
When Laurel Hills had events that required parking, or with other events that I'm aware of, the town has allowed parking on the playing field.
Oh, okay.
Kind of what would be the eastern end of the playing field near the border that's got it's got a line of trees. And so, if we could talk to the police chief and have some, somebody just, mark things off and make sure that any any cars that are beyond what fits at the cul-de-sac would park down there and people just walk
Great.
down the street.
Okay, great. I didn't know that was a possibility. That's perfect. Yeah,
I think what we'll do is on an agenda, we'll make a date to really plan it once we know the actual hard date.
yep,
And then we can really lay out what's like that now that we kind of have a semblance of it, and then talk to the select board and make sure they're in agreement, because I want to make sure they're gonna.
sure. So my other question related to that is, do they need to, and this relates to the Arbor Day celebration too. Does the select board or the town need to see the press release before it goes out?
Let me check with Michael.
Most likely they will want to see those.
Yeah. Okay.
And in that regard, I don't know with the town, official kind of stuff, what the position is in this regard, but Barbara Zanetti at the Chamber of Commerce has been great about sending press releases out, like for Laurel Hill and for other things that I'm aware of, because she has a huge list of press outlets, and she can always limit to only certain ones if that's preferable. But she's been
Okay.
great about sending them out.
Barbara Sinetti is her name?
Zanetti, Teresa Zanetti's sister. So it's
Okay.
Barbara Zanetti, Zanetti.
Thank you. And Sarah from Old Growth said she'd draft the press release. So, good. Okay, I think that's that.
Right, that leads right into Arbor Day participation, which I just got, Abigail, the pamphlet you put together, which I'll share on the screen.
Great.
I'll share that, but if we want to talk about how that's going.
Sure. It's coming together really nicely. We ordered 150 seedlings, 50 sugar maple, 50 flowering dogwoods, and 50 river birch. Riggs will provide tables that we could use, tables and chairs, and we'll just need to coordinate probably picking those up the day before. I met with the nursery school teacher this morning, and she said the kids would make seed cards. So they're going to make cards out of pollinator seeds that we can either attach or distribute with the seedlings. And the kids will also make a poster that we can put on the table. And I think bare root planting instructions also come from Arbor Day too.
Oh, okay. Well, so we got this from Abigail.
Let's see. Oh, nice.
So we can maybe print this up with it. So, and then that way we can have our commission and the town on it. Abigail, you want to walk us through it a little?
Sure, I just made it very simple to not confuse everyone, and I really just wanted to add the really important parts to it, like, not pressing down on the soil too much to hurt the roots and leaving space for the water to pool. If there's anything we want to add or subtract from it, there's room to do that. I got the pictures from the Arbor Day website, and I thought they'd be helpful. So, yeah, anything we want to add, we can do that.
I really like that. That's beautiful. The only thing I would suggest is something about right tree, right place. So, if it's a shade tree, to plant it in shade. If it's something that needs more sun or more water, just something along those lines, so people have an idea of where to put it.
You said we know the 3 trees that we.
Yep. Sugar maple. I tried to do small, medium, and large. So sugar maple, river birch, and flowering dogwood. But that's beautiful, Abby. Thank you. Really nice.
So maybe Abby.
Sorry,
Go
you
ahead.
go first.
I was just gonna say maybe we add those, make this very specific this year, just for those trees.
Yep, I was gonna mention that. Maybe put the sun requirements for all 3, and the water requirements. So I'll add that in there.
That would be great.
Okay. And then just for signage, I don't have it yet, but I'm drafting up just some signs we could put around town, just some 8 by 11 inch, easy printable, signs.
Great.
So hopefully next meeting I'll have something to share as good as we go.
And we can also put it in Stockbridge updates.
Yeah,
Just, again, we'll need the town to see whatever the press release is.
gotcha.
And
Okay.
when will we have the trees to hand out?
Well, the distribution day is April 23rd. And I've been in contact with the Arbor Day Foundation because they mail them between April 1st and May 15th. So I'm trying to make sure we get them prior to, I'd like them a week before.
Yeah.
And I think we'll be able to do that.
All right. Hearing nothing else, moving on. So I found out late that our annual report is due. So that's why I threw some together, and let me stop sharing this. How do I stop sharing this?
So it should be at the bottom, I think. At the bottom of your Zoom window.
Yeah, my window's all screwed up now that it's I'm sharing some.
Yeah, don't look at
Oh,
the.
there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Just needed to find.
confusing.
So I did a first draft, but wanted to know if there was anything else that I was missing or anything else that needed to be put in or wanted to be put in before I share it with the clerk.
I thought it looked good.
Okay.
I thought it was a very good job, Matt.
Yep.
Shelby did some grammar editing with some commas, so I appreciate that.
Sure. You look good.
So that being said, if that's okay this year, I will share that tomorrow because it was due a week ago. But I asked them if we could postpone it, so I verified it with you.
I'm sure you're not alone.
I hope, well, I guess I hope not. Okay. So that being said, two bigger, respectively bigger discussions tonight. The MVP grants for Ice Glen. If we want to start with that and talk about what you've brought up.
So I went to one meeting. I don't know if there was more than one meeting. And Carrie Ann was the person from MVP. And she basically said, anything we ask for Ice Glen has to be, what they look for is an adaptation. And they look at treatment for the hemlock trees as a mitigation. So she did not think that would be approved. What she did say that was very interesting was that reaching out to the Stockbridge Munsee tribe for indigenous land management would be considered an adaptation. And Stockbridge could ask MVP for money to pay the tribe to manage the land. So I don't know, I thought I'd bring it here first, see what people thought about it. With the thought that I don't think we're going to do much management.
Right.
But the idea of having the tribe be in charge of not doing much management is pretty appealing.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
We had talked about Mike Morey to be the forester, and if we wanted to apply for MVP funds, I don't know if we could, it would take a lot of conversation to
Well, I think that,
figure it out.
I guess it's, I think this is starting to get at the heart of where we see the forest going. And in that, I don't think I don't want to be here for the next 10 years every year trying to figure out a treatment for forever. Because like they said, it's just a mitigation.
Right.
But I guess it's what's the overarching plan for the next 100 years for Ice Glen at least. Does anyone have?
I was thinking, I mean, hopefully for the long term, a combination of biological controls would be adequate to maintain the forest, in a healthy enough state. I mean, we're never going to get rid of all of the invasives, but from the articles that have been going around the commission, it seems that there's a combination of bugs that might very well be able to control the two infestations per year that Woolly Adelgid at least come out with. So if we're looking for that kind of management of somebody to get and release predatory insects and monitor the health of the trees on a regular basis, and kind of just have a routine for that, then it would be good to have somebody who we could rely on for just so long term.
Because I wonder, because I mean, I think we talked, it seemed like you talked about the treatment, right?
Right.
So we didn't even discuss biological controls
With MVP.
with MVP.
Right.
They didn't consider that? Probably not.
It seemed like that's not what they were interested in doing.
Gotcha.
They didn't really see that as climate related.
Right.
Although I think really, I mean, the case can be made that these trees, it's already been shown that older trees capture carbon more efficiently at a greater rate than younger trees. And so the climate is better off with us keeping the old trees alive than planting new ones.
Agreed. I think that point was made. I mean, it was a long discussion, but she was pretty clear that it didn't fit. She agreed that it was a good thing to do. She just didn't think it fit the MVP criteria.
Well, I think it would be worth a discussion with the tribe to see, I don't want to burden them with any more work. Like you said, I don't see there being like physical huge amount of management besides the treatments. But we should discuss it with them and see if that's something.
Or I think the first step would, I don't know, be to see how the town feels about that. I mean, Michael was in on the meeting, so
Gotcha.
Michael heard this.
Gotcha. But I know it's becoming more and more of a practice thing. I know a lot of, at least trustees, not trustees of reservation, but trusts of forests are starting to turn more towards tribes for managing the land.
But one thing that's
Okay, I have a question then. One of the trees dies up on the top of the cliff or the top of the bank. Going to ask them to do it before it falls on somebody, or are we going to have somebody go up and cut it?
Right.
Right.
Yep, that's a fair question.
I think that's the big dilemma because it will need immediate reaction if there is a widow maker hanging up there. But if it's something where I know we've been talking about Mike Murray, if it's something where we have someone on site
Right.
and they're helping with the strategy and the planning.
That was more my thought.
Yeah.
It was possible if there was MVP money available for the tribe and the town could still hire Mike so that so there is somebody that can respond immediately.
Yeah.
There's also the practical issue that the tribe doesn't actually live here.
Right.
So, and there's only, I mean, Bonnie Hartley is kind of the one full-time, representative in the area.
Right.
So they may not even have anybody who could take responsibility.
Well, I think that was back to my point is I know she, every time I hear her talk, they're focusing on trying to reclaim remains from museums across the state. And I think there's like 9,000 still in a box in a museum somewhere. So, I don't want to add more to the hard work she's already doing.
Sure.
But I think it's worth a talk if we can get some money through the MVP and kind of come up with a strategy, a long-term strategy.
So I know Mike Morey's on the agenda also. So maybe if the commission could make a recommendation to the town to hire Mike Morey.
Well, this is one question I had. Should we get him in here first and all talk?
Should we let him know we want to?
Yeah. Should we let him know that, well, and like actually I'm not calling it an interview, but just address it with him and kind of walk him through what we've talked about.
Sure,
And
that
whether
makes
it's-
sense. I've never met him.
Yeah.
I've heard his name for years and I know he's worked with Bob on many old growth sites. So I think he would understand these woods.
Exactly.
But I've never met the man.
I've heard him recommended too. So I want everyone to have a chance to talk to him.
Sure, good point.
So maybe the first thing is I see if he will come to a meeting. And then we can make that recommendation after we've talked, and he's on board.
How do you spell Maury?
I think it's last time I looked, I believe it was Muari.
Or Mauri, one or the other.
Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah.
So I'll call him this week if that's okay with everyone and get him on the agenda as soon as possible. Any other thoughts? MVP right now? Okay. So the action item, I'll give Mike a call and see if we can get him in here and then we can talk about that process. The last thing on the agenda for tonight, which again, I don't have a lot of material for, but something that has been popping up this time of year that I'm really far behind on it. This probably should have happened in the winter time is housing for farm crews. Just from my own personal experience, this time of year, we have people calling from, applying from jobs from California, North Carolina. Where else did I have? I had Colorado, I think once, all applying to come out here to work at least on our farm. And that's not alone, let alone the other farms. But inevitably, the big thing that comes up in the interviews is, do you have housing? And we don't have any housing. Some lucky farms do. But I thought this would be a good place to start a conversation about what possibilities we could do here. Because obviously we don't have a lot of huge agricultural industry in Stockbridge. But I got a feeling there's got to be some places where some farm crew, we could make it accessible to farm crews to rent a room or something. So this is just the beginning of a conversation. I think in the past I looked up, there are some federal agencies on rural development that have given out money in the past for developing housing, seasonal housing for seasonal work. I don't know if they still exist, if they're funded. I don't know if it's possible, but they were for local governments mostly or nonprofits. But I put it on there just to hear your guys' thoughts.
You might talk to the NRCS agent Pittsfield, and he would probably be able to point you in the right direction because he's part of the Farm Service Agency. And his name escapes me at the moment.
What's NRCF? Natural Resource Council?
Nope,
What is it?
Natural Resource Conservation Service.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I think that
Did you see, Eric, did you say that was state or federal?
That's feds.
because I know the other big issue we're running into right now is that, albeit the last few years have been huge fluctuations in pricing. And wages were already going to be up to 15, I think by next year, $15 an hour. We're finding that if you don't have housing, you can't attract for the most part. We have a lot of qualified people who have applied in the past, and we personally pay above what I believe is above most farms around here. I can't, that's anecdotally, that's just what I think. Because I believe legally we could pay $8 in Massachusetts for a farm crew.
Wow.
But we don't, we try to stay with the minimum wage. So obviously the pricing now around here has gone through the roof in terms of just seasonal.
Right. Right.
And so I'm trying to think of a way that we would be able to, if we got funding, somehow figure out to incentivize people who have these rooms to do it at some kind of price that is for a farm crew wage, which I know that's like asking a lot, but how could we support that in a way, I guess, if we found funding, if we're I don't know what legally the town could do. I don't know.
I'll think about it.
And I think that's, if this is going to be one of those things where I think we need to think about it. And as you guys come up with ideas.
I mean, housing is such a crunch. It's,
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah,
It's for everyone.
for everybody.
For everybody, it's a crunch.
Yeah.
So on that note, I'll leave that hanging there for everyone to chew on for a bit. And hopefully maybe by next year we could make a recommendation. And I'll reach out, I will start investigating the NRCS and start seeing and try to reach out. Maybe someone could come and talk to us and give us ideas where to start. Was there anything else anyone had? I feel like this is a short meeting, which is okay. I think everyone will be okay with that today. So next week, I'm hoping to have next meeting, I hope to have updates on where the RFP is for the treatment, because it went out the end of February here. So hopefully we'll have some updates of where it is in the pipeline
For the,
treatment, this coming spring's treatment.
okay, and we're still waiting. I checked on the DCR grant. It's slow, maybe mid-March, is that what she said? So hopefully we'll hear soon where that stands.
And the CPC is meeting on Wednesday, so they'll presumably make a decision about our proposals for CPC funding.
And that's Wednesday at 4, I believe.
No, actually, this time it's at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, good. Right in the middle of the workday. Perfect.
Well, I'll be able to attend at least. So,
Thank you.
sure.
Okay. So we're on same time next month, first Monday of the month.
Great.
Not hearing anything else, I will put in a motion that we close out this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right,
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
thank you.